All right, so you're prepping for a financial markets back office administrator interview, huh?
Definitely a role where the details matter.
Big time. Yeah, and we're going to deep dive into some insights from RoleCatcher to help get you ready. We've got their career guides, sample interview questions, even their AI feedback tool to really get you prepped.
Sounds like we've got all the bases covered.
Let's jump right in. So back office and financial markets, what is that all about?
Think of it like the engine room.
Well, okay,
All those securities, derivatives, foreign exchange.
all the exciting stuff.
Yeah, it all happens because of the back office.
So what does a financial markets back office administrator actually do?
Well, they're making sure all those trades are processed, right?
Okay,
Trade confirmations, settlements, regulatory compliance.
the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, keeping the markets running smoothly. It's fast-paced, lots of pressure, but also a chance to learn the ins and outs of the financial world.
That's a good point. So attention to detail, a cool head under pressure must-haves for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get into the interview. Prep. RoleCatcher has this awesome library of sample questions, and they've flagged a few that are super common for this role. This one, for example. Can you tell us about your experience in financial markets back office operations?
This is your chance to shine. Instead of just listing your past roles, use specific examples to show you understand the work.
So how would you approach this one?
Let's say you successfully resolved a complex trade settlement, or maybe you streamlined a process that improved efficiency.
Right, show them you can handle it.
Exactly. Those are the things that'll make you stand out.
So storytelling is key here. What about follow-up questions, though? They might dig deeper into a specific experience. How do you stay composed and give those detailed but concise answers?
Well, preparation is key. I always say think about potential follow-up questions for each experience you're going to share. That way you're not caught off guard.
That makes sense. Now, RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you practice your answers and get feedback on how to improve your delivery right.
It can. And it can also help you spot weaknesses in your answers that you might not even be aware of.
I love that. Okay, another common question they flagged. What are your strengths when it comes to financial markets back office administration? We all know the temptation to rattle off generic qualities, but how do you actually make an impression here?
Again, it's all about connecting those strengths to real examples. Instead of just saying you're detail-oriented, talk about a time you caught a critical error that saved the company money.
Right.
You got to show, don't
I
tell.
like that show, don't tell. And RoleCatcher's AI can help with this too.
Yeah.
It analyzes your answers and gives you feedback on how to make them stronger.
It's like having a personal coach in your pocket.
Okay, let's move on to another question. How do you ensure accuracy in trade confirmation and settlement processes? This one seems pretty straightforward, but I'm guessing there's a lot more to it.
Definitely. You really need to show a deep understanding of the whole process and all the systems involved.
Okay.
Walk them through the steps you take to ensure accuracy. Mention any tools or systems you use.
Be specific.
Exactly. Think double-checking data entry, verifying calculations using reconciliation software. The more detailed, the better.
Got it. Now, what about follow-up questions on specific scenarios? Like, let's say they ask about a time you found a discrepancy in a trade confirmation.
Think of it like a mini case study. Describe the situation, explain how you spotted the discrepancy, what steps you took to investigate it, and how you resolved it.
So again, it's about being prepared to tell those stories.
It all comes back to preparation.
Okay, this next question is a bit more open-ended.
Yeah.
How do you stay up to date with regulatory changes in the financial markets? This seems like it could be a tough one.
It can be, because it's not just about reading financial news.
Right.
You need to show that you're actively engaged with the industry. Mention specific publications. You follow regulatory bodies' websites, professional development courses.
Show them you're proactive.
Exactly. You want to demonstrate a genuine interest in staying ahead of the curve.
That makes sense. Now, what about follow-ups on specific regulations? How do you show you really understand them without getting lost in all the technical jargon?
Research is crucial. If you know the company deals with specific types of assets or markets, brush up on the latest regulatory changes in those areas.
Right.
That shows you've done your homework. Also, practice explaining complex concepts in a clear and concise way. Avoid the jargon overload.
Good advice. Now, RoleCatcher's career guides actually give some insights into the typical career paths for this role. Can you give us a quick overview of what someone starting out in this field can expect?
Sure, RoleCatcher breaks it down into different stages. At the junior level, you'd be assisting senior administrators learning the ropes, mastering the core tasks.
Okay.
As you move up to the financial markets back office administrator level, you'd handle more responsibilities independently working across multiple asset classes.
Sounds like a good path for growth and advancement. All right, let's get back to those interview questions. This one seems pretty relevant given the fast-paced environment. How do you prioritize your workload when you have multiple tasks to complete? It's that classic how do you handle stress question, right?
It is, but it's also about showing your organizational skills and your ability to think strategically.
Okay.
So don't just say you're a good multitasker. Describe a specific framework you use for prioritization. Maybe it's based on deadlines or task complexity.
You have a system.
Right. And then back it up with a real example from your experience.
Makes sense. Now, what about follow-up questions that dig deeper into specific choices you've made? Like, how do you defend your decisions and show that you're thinking strategically?
That's where understanding the bigger picture is crucial. You need to explain how your choices align with the company's goals and priorities. For instance, you could explain how you chose to prioritize a time-sensitive trade settlement over a less urgent administrative task because it directly impacts client satisfaction.
Right, so it's not just about getting things done, it's about focusing on the right things.
Exactly. The things that matter most to the company's success.
All right, let's take a quick pause here. When we come back, we'll tackle some more of those challenging interview questions and explore how RoleCatcher's AI can help you craft those winning responses.
Back to those interview questions. How about this one? Can you explain the process of clearing and settling trades in financial markets?
This one sounds complex. How do you even begin to explain that without getting lost in the weeds?
It's all about breaking it down. Think of it like a relay race.
Okay, I like that.
You've got trade execution, confirmation verification, then clearing settlement, and finally reconciliation. Each step makes sure that the trade is accurate, authorized, and settled by the rules.
That's a great analogy. What if they go deeper, though? Like, what about the role of a clearinghouse or the different ways settlements work?
That's where your research comes in.
Yeah.
Look into the specific clearinghouses and settlement procedures that are common in the markets that the company operates in. Showing that you've done your homework and tailored your knowledge to their context is a big plus.
Makes sense. Okay, moving on. Here's one that's all about showing you're committed to compliance. How does a financial markets back office administrator ensure compliance with regulatory requirements? Big deal in finance, right?
Huge. You need to show that you're not just following the rules, but that you're really trying to understand and apply them.
Okay, so how do you do that?
Mention specific regulations like Dodd-Frank or MiFID-THISC, depending on the company's business. Then outline the steps you take to ensure compliance, staying updated on regulatory changes, implementing internal controls, and working with compliance teams.
That's a good point. Now, what about when they ask about your experience with KYC procedures? Or how you've handled a situation where a trade might have broken a regulation?
This is your chance to show off your problem-solving skills and your ethics. Describe a situation where you ran into a potential compliance problem. Talk about how you investigated it and what you did to ensure compliance, whether you had to escalate it to the compliance department or implement some corrective actions.
So be ready with a real example. Here's a question that gets to the heart of it. What are the common challenges faced by financial markets back office administrators? What are they looking for with this one?
They want to see that you get the demands of the role and that you've thought about how to deal with them.
Okay.
You could mention the high volume of transactions, the need for accuracy in a fast-paced environment, meeting tight deadlines, staying on top of those regulatory changes.
Yeah, that all makes sense. And what about when they ask about a specific time you faced a stressful situation or a tough deadline?
This is where you show them your resilience, how you handle pressure, did you prioritize effectively? Seek help when you needed it, stay calm and focused. Those are all good signs that you can handle the heat.
Solid advice. RoleCatcher's career guides highlight some typical career paths for back office administrators. Can you shed some light on the different seniority levels?
Sure. Starting out, you're focused on assisting senior administrators, learning the ropes, and mastering core tasks. As you progress, you'll take on more responsibilities, manage more complex transactions, and eventually you might even oversee a team.
There's definitely room to grow in this field. Okay, back to the interview questions. This one seems important. How can a financial markets back office administrator contribute to the overall success of a financial institution? What are some key points to hit here?
It's all about connecting what you do to the bigger picture. Talk about how ensuring accurate and efficient transaction processing reduces risk and keeps clients happy. Mention how maintaining compliance protects the institution's reputation and helps avoid those costly penalties.
So even though it's a back office role, you're still playing a crucial part in the whole operation.
Absolutely. Showing that you get that connection shows a deeper level of thinking that interviewers will appreciate.
Good point. Okay, let's look at this one. How do you ensure data accuracy and completeness in your work? I mean, everyone's going to say they're careful. What else is there?
You need to outline the specific steps you take to ensure that the data is accurate and complete. Talk about double-checking entries, verifying calculations, using data validation tools, and implementing quality control checks.
And what if they ask about your experience with a specific piece of software for trade reconciliation? What if you haven't used that one before?
Be honest. If you don't know the software, acknowledge it, but emphasize your willingness to learn new systems quickly and highlight your experience with similar tools.
So show them you're adaptable and that you like to learn new things.
Exactly. Staying current is important in this field. Let's say they ask you to walk us through your experience with trade reconciliation. How do you tackle that one without overwhelming them with details?
Yeah, that sounds tricky.
Start with a clear definition of trade reconciliation. Explain why it's so important for managing risk and ensuring accuracy. Then you can describe the typical steps involved. Keep it clear and highlight any methodologies or systems you've used.
Got it. And what if they ask about a specific challenge you faced during reconciliation, like a really complex discrepancy?
Now you can show off your analytical and problem-solving skills. Outline the situation. Describe the steps you took to figure out what went wrong and how you fixed it. The more detail you can give, the better.
Okay, we're making good progress. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue our deep dive into these interview questions and look at how RoleCatcher can help you land that financial markets back office administrator role. We're back and ready to wrap up our prep for this financial markets back office administrator interview.
We've talked about the role itself and some common interview questions.
But now let's dive into how RoleCatcher's AI can really help you shine.
It's like having a secret weapon, right?
Exactly. We've talked about tailoring your resume, showcasing your skills, and really understanding the role, but putting it all together in the interview can be tough.
For sure. That's where RoleCatcher comes in. It's not just about having sample questions and answers. It's about having a tool that helps you figure out what interviewers are really looking for.
And that helps you give them what they want. Now, you mentioned that RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze job descriptions. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. It looks for key words and phrases that tell you what skills and experience the employer is really prioritizing. Then it gives you tips on how to adjust your resume and cover letter to highlight those areas.
So you're not just guessing what they want.
Right. You're using data to your advantage.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about the interview itself? How does RoleCatcher's AI help you there?
One of the coolest things is the AI feedback on your answers. You can practice with their sample questions, record your responses, and get pointers on how to improve.
So it's like a mock interview.
Exactly, but without the pressure of a real interview, you can practice as much as you need to.
And you get feedback on your delivery, your content, your clarity.
It's like having a coach in your pocket.
And the feedback is specific to the job you're applying for, right?
Right, because their AI is trained on a massive data set of real interview responses. It knows what works and what doesn't.
That's amazing. It can even analyze your tone of voice and body language to help you project confidence.
It's all about giving you that extra edge.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from understanding the role to prepping for those tough interview questions and using RoleCatcher's AI to really stand out. Any final tips for someone going into this interview?
Do your research, know the company inside and out, understand their business and their place in the financial markets,
Be prepared.
and then use RoleCatcher's resources to tailor your resume and practice your answers.
And don't forget to show your passion for the financial markets.
That's so important. Interviewers can tell when someone is genuinely excited about the work.
It makes a difference.
Yeah.
So go into that interview feeling confident and prepared to show them what you've got.
And remember, RoleCatcher is there to support you every step of the way.
Good luck with your interview.
You've got this.